Linda Kaiser. Welcome to the Circle. My co-host is Morgan Rhodes, and our guest tonight is Penelope Toribio, and she is an artist, an entertainer, an educator, an award-winning woman, and she is all about music and puppets. And so welcome, Penelope.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
So tell us, I almost don't know where to start because I know you've done so much. Do you want to give us a little brief bio or something?
Can I start with Lane Keller? Because
Yes,
of
course.
She said what I am. She said, I don't want to do anything. I have my hands on anything that doesn't have a reason for being. And she said, what she does is educational, reverberational, and raises consciousness, and comes from truth and empowers. And I thought, well, she's me and I'm her.
That's awesome. And that's true, right?
Yes, and I have a feeling that everybody you interview on Global Mission of Peace falls in that area. It's
exactly.
Just we have different stories, maybe different audiences, and maybe different needs. So Thank you for letting me start that way, because puppetry is sometimes considered like something for children.
Yes, very definitely.
Especially in the United States, but not out of the United States. And so
now say a little bit more about that tradition and why it's where it is and not here.
Well, because it started hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and really was an art form for the adults that they allowed their children to listen to.
Oh, wow.
So this is interesting, I think. When I started my puppetry, my world puppetry, puppetry was outlawed in Myanmar, in Burma. And I have a lot of Burmese puppets, so I was trying to contact a puppeteer there, and I wrote him a letter, and he said, never write me directly to Burma again, because we can either be put in jail or worse. And it's because of the power of puppets and to educate and activate people. So even if you look at some of the films, Year of Living Dangerously or Chinese film, the puppeteers were often jailed, their puppets destroyed, and sometimes worse.
Is that because they were making political comments or political satire, and that was the way of speaking to the people at theaters, sort of?
Right. So we've sort of dumbed them down, no offense, into Sesame Street. But I started mine. I wasn't a puppeteer, but I was teaching teens in danger to themselves or others. And this is like the top, it's called level 14 in California. It is the top level of dangerous teens.
Wow.
And I'm a special ed teacher and a behavior transformation specialist. So I was looking desperately for something to kind of raise the serotonin, make it a little lighter in there, because, and also to teach. So I just kind of accidentally picked up puppets. And so I started using them to reach and teach the teens. And here's one thing that hardly anybody knows. Puppetry is puppetry art is 80% writing. So if you teach puppetry to troubled teens and kids that are a little behind, you are actually teaching writing. That's another reason I kind of identify. Because if I had to
choose, so how did you do? Well, how did you find the receptivity of troubled teens to something like puppets? Would they mock it or make fun of it, or
no? They
accept it.
In fact, I do a lot of festivals, and I tell people I have a booth, and then I give people a chance to to do professional puppets, professional marionettes, professional ventriloquist figures. Nobody lets anybody use their expensive puppets that I know of except for me, because I have 600 puppets from around the world. I figure I can either fix them, or if not, I can pray over them and bury them.
Oh, my heavenly day. I had no idea you had so many.
Do that.
So you started your puppets teaching teens, but I know that you're involved in a lot of communities with puppetry. Can you speak to a little bit how it's evolved and now what kinds of people are working with your puppets?
I still do the same thing. So I go into festivals. I usually use ecology as a theme. I teach ecology if I'm doing public shows, and I set up scenes, and then I let the teens and the kids. And anyway, I tell people who stays at my booth. Always, it's the teenagers, because they know what goes behind it. It's not just like little cute little things dancing around. There's really thought behind it. And so anyway, I would write. This is how I got into it. I wasn't a puppeteer. I just started and then getting more and more so that I could offer more puppets to my students. And so here's how they kind of work on behavior transformation. Can I give you this idea? So I would write, and then I give an example, and then I'd have them write. Well, this was a boys' school. They could actually be there anywhere from 8 to 18 and never meet girls except for people like me. So I decided, well, I'm going to teach about girls through puppets. So I wanted to do one of their little things. This is a rap that they made together. And because they are learning it and memorizing it, it becomes part of them. So it has to do, pretend this hand is a snake, okay? I had everybody make a snake. So I'm Snoop, Snaky Snake. Make no mistakes, I've got the moves to make the girl's heart ache. I can sing, I can dance. One look at me and I can put you in a trance. Hypnotize you, realize you, raise up the heat, make your little heart beat. Sorry, guys, you just can't compete with me because I'm sensitive. I communicate. I'm just a guy who don't have no hate. I listen to what the girls say. Respect them in every way. Take them out for a good time. That's why they're in line for a date with me, Snoop, Snaky Snake.
Oh, that is too cool.
So
that is so over the.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
So they would do this as a group. I would have them, my different classes, I would have them do it as a group, and I would do my stuff. And then we would make the puppets. And this is the other thing with puppetry art, true puppetry art. There's sound, music, direction, stage, making, acting. There is so much involved in puppetry because it has everything that a theater has, only just on a smaller scale, plus the kinds of things that puppetry demand, which is a little bit different. So maybe you've heard that I want to do a community puppets theater, One World Puppets for Peace, which is community and global, because everything will be videotaped. But the people that will be doing it are the teens and youths. So literally, I have to tell you, I have never had a teenager ever be reluctant. Because, look, they want to have fun. Do you want to have fun?
Yeah.
Do you want to have fun? What if you have a troubled life and you're in trouble all the time and you're not with parents? They didn't have parents or people that cared for them.
Oh.
I also did it in psychiatry. I was also teaching in psychiatric setting. And if I used a soft puppet, there's a lot of many different kinds.
Right.
They end up holding them, and
Oh my goodness.
And I always say, I hope the teens don't see this, but if they're troubled, you can take 4 years off their age. So if they're 16, they're 12. You can't say, I'm going to treat you like a 12-year-old, but
No, that's true. Right.
everything you can do for a 12-year-old, you can do for that 16-year-old, because they haven't had a chance to go through that period where they can really grow up.
Right.
So I have to tell you, I live in a city that just got the honor of being one of the top 7 most dangerous cities in California.
Wow.
Pomona. So we had a bunch of youths, and they would be outside and they had their rap. So I had my daughters here, and I was listening to their rap and picking up the tune. So I picked up one of my dinosaur puppets when they were being really noisy, and I went outside, and my daughters are going, no, mom, you'll be killed. And they said, oh, are we being allowed? And I said, oh no, I'm learning rap from here. Do you want to hear my rap?
Oh my God.
And so I tell you the truth, there isn't an age that doesn't like puppetry. So to get back to Lane, I don't do puppet entertainment. The most I get to is called edutainment, meaning that I educate. I'm constantly thinking, what kind of message? What can I bring out of it? What can I do, even if I'm just a short-term person somebody meets? How can I spark something inside them? And that is the magical realm of puppetry. And
you know what? I have a question.
Great.
Do you happen to have a video of you doing a little puppet show or something so that we could link it when this goes live?
I do have, it's not exactly a puppet show, but I have like a festival, or I have something. I will send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
And you heard I went to India and Thailand and Indonesia and gave shows.
No, tell us about that.
I started out in India, and I do a 3-hour
I knew you went there, but I didn't know why, that you were doing the puppets.
I do this is something that I do that's not, it's teaching in the story, but it's called the Ramayana, which is one of the most revered stories in India. So with using the most beautiful puppets from Myanmar, India, and shadow puppets from Indonesia, I do a 3-hour show.
Oh.
And 3-hour mixing shadow puppets and marionettes.
Do you have any of those that we could see?
I do have, you can see the puppets. I didn't have anybody to really videotape me on that, but anyway. So I went to India, and I taught teachers. I went to street and tribal schools all the way down India. I went to, I don't know how many. And I would teach the teachers how to teach with minimum supplies, brain-based learning.
Right.
And so that, for me, get it into the brain. You don't really always need paper and pencil and crayons and books. I mean, it's nice, but if you don't have it, there's other things you can do. And it was really funny because the men and women don't mix that much in India. And so I would say you have to be sitting by a woman. If you're a man, you need to be sitting by a woman. And they wouldn't, and I would just go and pick them up and put them down there, and then they'd be like this, But I gave them, because I said, you're teaching both girls and boys. You need to drop this whole idea that there's a difference between the way you teach and the way you relate to men and women. So anyway, afterwards, I gave them so many tools that they could use. They were just, all the pictures are showing how we all just got together. And then I did performances in the street and tribal schools. And I thought it was going to be for kids, but it turned out just to be everybody. And and it's like a universal language. And I had an interpreter. It was so funny because I would say it with a lot of emphasis, and he'd go, and she is here, and Ravana came up, and I said, no, you have to. So anyway, I guess I want to say that there are so many skills that can be taught through theater puppetry, and that it can actually give kids an enlightened way of looking at the things, the choices that they can do. You know what I'm talking about, Morgan?
Yeah, of course. The church bells were ringing. I kept wanting to unmute myself, and they wouldn't stop ringing. But yeah, do they write their own scripts for the plays?
Yes, and really they were just, and I would love to say that I was not allowed to photograph or videotape the kids. They are wards of the state, so it's too bad. But I did learn some of them, and I do have some of the scripts, but I had them write usually on ecology because it's a nice, safe, and important subject, and I usually write in that area too. But anyway, so kids that wanted to do video could do video. Kids that wanted to do scenery could do scenery, or build the stage, or everybody didn't have to be doing puppetry. They could just be doing the things around it. But what I want to say is that like, for example, when animation became very easy, the commercials all went to the animation. But you'll notice now they've slipped back to the puppets. Why? Because
you're right.
Puppets have heart. You absolutely love them. That's why they're so powerful. And I even have a little theme, a little reason for this. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Especially with marionettes, I really notice this. People are watching the marionette, and your brain gets into the story and forgets that is a marionette. Then it pulls back and it goes, you're listening to that and you think that's a real person, but it's just a little doll. And then it gets right back into the story again. And it's like that movement back and forth between the brain, and it laughs at itself. How do you like my idea?
That's pretty bizarre. That's really interesting.
That's my thoughts.
Well, here's a question I've got for you. So to me, it seems like this is a lost art and really should be replicated. How would one go about that? Don't you think it should be spread? Isn't there a need for this?
That's exactly why I want it to be global, because imagine, I was just thinking of the ambassador saying that he wants to do that refuge. Here's these teens and young, I consider young adults into that area. How did they start relating to people? How did they change? And here's something that is automatically fun. It's automatically fun, and yet it requires a lot. One thing it really requires is trust.
Right.
Unless you've done puppetry, if I gave you a puppet at first, you might be kind of uncomfortable and uncomfortable using it. So you really have to learn to trust yourself. And I have to throw in one other thing. Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. When I went to this boys' school, they called me in on the first day and they said, you have $2,000 to spend in one day. Well, I don't like those little crummy little puppets. And that's all you can find usually. So I said, oh, well, I'll order a ventriloquist figure. And eyebrows move, the eyes move, and So, so I got it, and I went, oh yeah, I'm not a ventriloquist. So I came into the classroom and I said, we're all going to learn ventriloquism. Well, here's what I didn't know. A lot of kids, troubled kids, one of their problems, they can't do a conversation. They don't know how to do this flow of conversation. And so if you teach them ventriloquism, they have to do a flow of conversation because they're doing both roles.
Oh, wow.
They do both roles.
Really, really intriguing.
And the second thing that's important is that a lot of troubled kids, you don't know what's in their mind, and they're not going to tell you.
No, but they'll act it.
But if you got them doing something with it, you know how they're thinking, if there's some things that you need to go in and tweak. And as a behavior transformation specialist, which I have my MA in, I really believe that everything needs to be above board. So if there's something that needs to be tweaked, you both need to discover it, you both need to discuss it, and you both need to come into the agreement that you're going to work in that area. So this is not something I knew about automatically. I just started using this.
So when you travel, you don't travel with your puppets.
Oh yeah,
Not always. You do.
Well, if I'm like India, I had no clothes because I carried
too many puppets.
2 suitcases of clothes. And so it was so funny. Wherever I would go, practically, they would measure me and have if I'd worn the same thing a couple of times, they would overnight make
my like a new outfit. I know. Is that so cool, isn't it?
Overnight.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What other skills do you see some of these kids lacking and then developing through puppetry?
Well, I believe totally in all arts, not just puppetry. Puppetry just happens to include a different areas. But for example, there's a lot of ruminating and negative thinking, and they get in channels. It's very hard to break them. So I play guitar, so I play beginning guitar. So I would teach the kids guitar, and I would say the minute that they would start practicing willingly, they had made a big jump because it replaced their negative thinking with another thing that their mind would go on. So that was a huge area. I also did beginning animation, just anything that would get in and start making them interested in doing something positive. And especially writing and acting or any of these areas, they have the theme that you have inside of it so that you can have your positive piece and whatever your positive theme is, and then the positive actions that whatever that art requires. So, yeah.
So back to replicating puppets. How would someone learn to do what you do? Would they go to school and get the same sort of educational background, or how does one learn puppets, and where does one acquire puppets?
Oh, this is really good. And I have some puppets, I have some sites that have them, but I want to make it more available of where they can get really nice puppets, some expensive, but some that you can really afford. And, but making puppets is another whole fun. I'm really into physics, kind of like physics and spirituality.
Yeah, me too.
So there's a physicist out there that I love, Nassim Haramein. So right. I wanted to meet him. So I thought, what can I do? Oh, actually, I wanted my grandchildren to meet him. So I thought, now what can I do? And so I said, oh, well, I'll make a marionette of him. So I made a marionette of him. And at that time, he was over in Kauai. And I was thinking, oh, am I going to have to take all my grandchildren to Kauai? That's going to cost a lot of money. So then he was out at the consciousness fair out here, And I went right to the front row. I had I had a blackboard with some of his formulas on it. And I had little Nassim, and he was starting talking, and then he'd look over, and then finally he goes, I never thought I'd be a marionette.
That is too cute for words.
And so I've written my first section. I'm going to do a whole series of physics and puppets. I've got Einstein, and I've got Nassim.
Penelope, that is brilliant. Good for you.
Thank you. Well, that's kind of going away about how you learn, but
back to how to learn puppets.
You just decide. You pretty much have to decide that you want to do that,
right? Like anything,
and then do it. It's just that.
Make a commitment, make a plan.
And nobody. I mean, I always laugh. I went to 10 years of college.
Right, me too. It's a joke.
I'm a puppeteer. How much college do I need? 0. I needed 0 college.
But to know the rest of the stuff, how to work, what to say, probably it helped.
It might have helped. So anyway, that's the story of the power. And so many times people say, oh, she's a puppeteer, and they immediately think of, just like a little fuzzy being up there dancing to ABCs. But
right.
It's really what you do. I am Ravana, king of Wonka, leaders of the night wanders, and the one who cannot be killed by the gods. And because of this, I can do anything I want. Maybe I'll go to the rainforest and chop down hundreds of acres of trees. How do you like that? You like that?
Oh my God, this is great.
You like
it's
it?
Great.
Okay, you don't like that? Okay, then how about if I go to the ocean and cause a tanker to drop hundreds of gallons of oil into the water? How do you like that? No?
No, don't do that.
Okay. Oh gosh, you're hard to please. Okay.
You could get heavy duty political with this, couldn't you?
Yeah, you do.
I like this. I'm liking this a lot.
See that, and I don't even have a puppet, but there is a wonderful puppet that goes to. But it's the story,
It's the story.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's a lot of layers, and really what we're trying to do with anything when we're expressing ourselves is to kind of dig into our layers and get closer and closer to our essence. I didn't even think about, I guess you're kind of, when you're working with troubled teens, they have so many citadels built up around them and so many defense mechanisms. You're kind of calling their bluff and challenging them to go into those layers, because they can't really pour themselves into it without kind of letting some of those defense mechanisms down. So I realized that as you were talking. It's really cool.
That's exactly right. Hey, everybody, you better listen up. We're guardians of the earth, and we're going to get tough. It seems that people have been messing with our planets, taking trees, air, water, all our land for granted, smog, trash, oil in the ocean, factories spewing poisonous potions, overpopulation, and global warming. You better listen up. You better heed our warning. We're going to give you some advice for free. You better start thinking about ecology. Hey, there's lots of things that you can do. Recycle, carpool, just to name a few. So come on, everybody. Join with us. Be guardians of the earth and just get tough.
That's spectacular. That's just simply spectacular, Penelope. I would just really like to see you in action, like one whole show or something. I'll bet that's fabulous. So when we go to Sweden, are you going to do a puppet show for us?
Yes.
Awesome. I can't wait.
But of course, she's not going to have any clothing again. All puppets.
Right. All puppets. That'll be really funny. Wow.
Well, I think we're about at time. So I'll just thank you for coming on, Penelope, for sharing a little bit about your art.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.